Between 1918 and 1919, a wave of terror swept through New Orleans as a mysterious and brutal serial killer known as the Axeman murdered at least 6 victims and attacked several others. This killer's method was as chilling as it was distinctive. He would break into homes at night and attack his victims with an axe, often an axe belonging to the household itself. The Axeman's reign of terror not only left behind a trail of gruesome crimes, but also a strange and haunting piece of local folklore. To add to the mystery, the killer seemed to have a peculiar obsession with jazz music, promising to spare anyone who played jazz in their home. Despite his crimes, the Axeman was never caught, and his identity remains a chilling enigma to this day. His terrifying story has captivated the public imagination, contributing to the darker side of New Orleans' rich history. The beginning of the murders. The Axeman's crime spree began in 1918, and over the next year, his attacks created a climate of fear and panic in New Orleans. His victims were predominantly Italian-American immigrants, which led to widespread speculation that the killer may have had a personal vendetta against this community. The first known murder attributed to the Axeman occurred on May 23, 1918, when Joseph Maggio, a 27-year-old grocer, and his wife Catherine were brutally attacked in their home. The Maggios were asleep in their bed when the killer entered their home and struck them both with an axe. The attack was savage. Catherine Maggio was decapitated, and Joseph was found with several axe blows to his head. Though the couple had been asleep when attacked, their screams roused neighbors, and Joseph's brother, who lived nearby, found the couple in a blood-soaked bed. The crime scene was unsettlingly violent, but strangely, no valuables were taken from the house. It appeared to be a senseless attack, and there was no immediate explanation for the brutality of the crime. The next victim was found only a few weeks later. On June 27, 1918, the Axeman struck again, this time attacking the family of Charles and Louise Cortimiglia. Like the Maggios, the Cortimiglias were Italian-American immigrants living in New Orleans. Charles and Louise were both attacked while they slept, but unlike the Maggios, they survived, although they were severely injured. Their daughter, who was in the home at the time, was also spared. As the attacks continued throughout the year, a chilling pattern emerged. The killer always targeted homes where the inhabitants were asleep in their beds. He used an axe, often one that belonged to the family he was attacking, and bludgeoned the victims in their sleep. The brutality of his attacks was matched only by the randomness of his victims, who were not chosen based on wealth, status, or any apparent motive. The Axeman's next victim was a woman named Sarah Lawman, who was attacked on August 5, 1918. She survived the attack, but it was another gruesome incident that left the city on edge. The terror reached a new level when the Axeman began leaving cryptic messages behind, suggesting that the attacks were part of a twisted game. The Axeman's letter, "I am the Axeman." In March 1919, the killer sent a letter to local newspapers that would become one of the most bizarre aspects of the Axeman's reign of terror. The letter, published on March 13, 1919, was addressed to the people of New Orleans and was written in a chilling, almost playful tone. The Axeman claimed that he was a supernatural entity who had come to punish the city, and he declared that he would spare any home where jazz music was being played. He wrote, "I am the Axeman, and I am going to kill you. But on the night of March 19th, I will spare any house that plays jazz music. It is the only way to survive. I want to hear the sweet sounds of jazz, and if you play it, I will not harm you." The letter was signed by the Axeman. The claim was bizarre and unsettling, as it seemed to suggest that the killer's choice of victims was tied to his love, or perhaps obsession, with jazz music. The timing of the letter also seemed particularly significant, as it arrived just days before the planned date, March 19, 1919. The public reaction to the letter was swift. Local newspapers published the message in full, and jazz clubs in New Orleans quickly seized the opportunity to promote their music. People all over the city began playing jazz in their homes, hoping to avoid the wrath of the Axeman. The night of March 19, 1919, became known as the Night of Jazz, and the city's residents played music on their porches, in their parlors, and on their street corners, hoping to keep the killer at bay. Miraculously, no murders were reported on that night. Whether the Axeman genuinely spared people who played jazz, or whether it was simply a coincidence, remains a matter of speculation. However, the bizarre letter added a layer of intrigue to the killer's already unsettling crimes and cemented his place in New Orleans folklore. The end of the Axeman's reign. Despite the bizarre promise of the jazz exemption, the Axeman's attacks did not cease after March 1919. In fact, just a few days after the infamous Night of Jazz, the killer struck again. On August 10, 1919, the final confirmed victim of the Axeman was found. The victim, a man named Steve Bocha, was attacked in his home while he slept with his wife and child. Bocha was severely wounded but survived, and this attack was the last in the series of brutal murders. After this final attack, the Axeman seemed to vanish without a trace. No further murders were committed, and the police had no leads to follow. The killer's reign of terror ended as mysteriously as it had begun. Despite numerous investigations, arrests, and public speculation, the identity of the Axeman was never discovered. Many theories emerged, from the possibility of a local criminal with a personal vendetta to the idea of a larger conspiracy involving organized crime. However, none of these theories could ever be conclusively proven. The legacy of the Axeman's crimes have had a lasting impact on New Orleans and have contributed to the city's rich and often eerie folklore. His mysterious nature, brutal methods, and the bizarre connection to jazz music have made him a figure of local legend. The letter he sent to the people of New Orleans, with its eerie promise of sparing jazz-playing homes, has been immortalized in the city's cultural history. The Axeman also inspired a number of creative works, including songs, books, and even a television episode of American Horror Story, Hotel, that references the crimes. The killer's love of jazz has been incorporated into these works, further embedding him in the city's cultural consciousness. Today, his story lives on in the folklore of New Orleans, a city known for its vibrant culture and its dark, haunting history. If you found this video informative, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more content. Thank you.